So there are few changes are there with the SAP S/4HANA sourcing and procurement. I will take you through one of the biggest changes, flexible Fiori workflow. But before I jump there, just to tell you guys that if you want to know the changes earlier, before 2 years it was a little difficult, but from last 2 years, if you just want to browse through that in each of the version, for each of the module specific, what are the changes are there, it's very easy to identify, very simple to identify. Okay, I have not done any rocket science to identify these changes. I have also gone through this SAP portals to find it out, and I will tell you that how you can quickly identify that in each version, in each module, in each byproduct, what changes has been introduced. It's very easy to identify. Let me quickly show you. Okay, so this is, sorry, my screen was not sure. I'm sorry. So this is the mind map. Earlier, what mind map I was showing you is this one. Yeah, so these are the different mind maps which we have, this is for the material ledger. So that's what I was showing you when my screen was not shared. So I'm jumping into the 2021 highlights, sourcing and procurement 2021 highlights. So what I'm going to show you quickly that if you want to know that what are the changes in specific or in a particular thing, how you can do it. So I'm going here. I hope you would be able to see my screen. I will just go SAP help 2021. The first thing is come SAP S/4HANA. If you're not able to see it properly, I will put it here. So you need to make sure that you are on the latest version, 2021 version. And here, now they have put it what's new. So people who was following from 2015, 16, 17, it was very difficult to identify. It was in some another portal, and that also required a S user ID to jump into the innovations. Now it's quite easy. They have just given it here, what's new. And earlier they were giving a big PDF document, and you need to go through the PDF document and struggle a lot कि भैया क्या change हुआ है, कौन सा new Fiori applications आया है, what other things has been introduced new. Now it's very simple. So that's the thing I like most, the documentation with S/4HANA. It has drastically improved compared to ECC. What's new? So they have given this what's new viewer. Again, the look and feel is same as a Fiori. So from here, you can check that what are the new things are there. I'm just showing you that this path so that you can self-explore yourself. The previous version changes or the next version changes, you don't depend on me. You can go yourself and explore it, okay? Okay, it's taking some time. Sometimes it works slow, okay. So it is loading me all the innovations which they have introduced with SAP S/4HANA. You can see valid as of on with 2021 version. And I will filter it here with line of business. We are interested in sourcing and procurement. Sourcing and procurement. Okay. Now this will show me all the line items. Not done. Still not done. Let me select again. Okay, I have not pressed on OK. So 135 entries are there with the sourcing and procurement. Here also you can filter it with the solution area if you want to see in operational procurement, invoicing, or specifically to sourcing, you want to see that what are the changes they have done in sourcing. You can click it here. So within sourcing and procurement, within the sourcing, like sourcing is different, procurement is different, right? It's no more materials management. So what is the things they have changed in the sourcing? You can come to know from here. The same way, if you want to go for the operational procurement, you can also check. The same way, if you want to check for SD, manufacturing, AATP changes, whatever the things you want to do, you can go through it. And if you want to go in details, see more is there. That will take you on in a separate page where a little bit more details would be there compared to this. Okay. So that's quickly how you can navigate to the changes which has been introduced. Now let's talk about for sourcing and procurement, what kind of changes SAP has come up. I have done a brief study, not a very depth study, but so far study and the limited access to the system I have got, just to inform you that our labs Our 2021 system labs has been ready and it's also been released. The people who have subscribed, they have now 2021 server access. All the few things I'm still configuring. Okay, and the TM configuration is right now going on. So few things are still into the configuration. I would say that it would be 100% ready within the 10 days, but we have already opened and released to all the people who have subscribed. So with that limited access, what things which I have got is, one of the things which is changing is flexible Fiori workflow. Now, I have worked into the multiple projects. Okay. Now, what is flexible Fiori workflow? भैया purchase requisition approve करना पड़ता है, purchase order approve करना पड़ता है. All these approvals you need to do, right? Earlier, how we need to manage the approvals? We need to manage the approvals with your classic release strategies, right? Now, still I see when I go as a solution architect and when I see validate the different projects, still people are stuck to the release strategy. When I ask that why you are not using the flexible Fiori workflow, people doesn't have a direct answer to it, that why they are not using it. Some people, they said, boss, it was introduced in, if I'm not wrong, you can correct me, in 1709. 1709 version it was introduced, and if you will see the 1709 version, you will never use it. You will never use it if you see 1709 system, the flexible Fiori workflow. The same thing happened. The people who are that they just give a quick glimpse in 1709, 1809, and they did not like it, or thapa laga diya ki flexible Fiori workflow kisi kaam ka nahi, it's useless, right? Flexible Fiori workflow, but it's not like that. So you need to understand that the release strategy which you are using has gone through a long journey. Okay, by the time it got sustainable, it has gone through the long journey. So that journey, the flexible Fiori workflow is right now going on. So if I compare with 1709 to 2021, amazing improvements, drastic improvements in flexible Fiori workflow. I really love it. In the projects where I am involved, I try to use flexible Fiori workflow wherever it is possible. Wherever it says that, okay, it needs a lot of enhancement, and then the classic release strategy would be better for them, we go with the classic release strategies. But wherever it is possible, we try to use flexible Fiori workflow because it has improved a lot. If you are also the one who have used in the initial version and not liked it, I would request you to use it again with 2020 and 21 version. A lot of problems was there, I agree, but a lot of problem has been removed. The things which really I want to look into the flexible Fiori workflows are now coming up. Okay, and now they have changed for the purchase requisition. So today the changes we are going to talk about in flexible Fiori workflow, that is the purchase requisition workflow. So within the purchase requisition workflow, they have done some changes, not on the all of the parts. Okay, so make a note that the thing which I'm going to talk about, don't take ki bhaiya Parminder ne bataya tha ye aa gaya wo aa gaya, and then you are committing to your clients. It has just introduced for the purchase requisition. Still purchase orders and another approval workflows still need to introduce the things which we are going to talk today. Maybe in the next version it will come. But the things which they have been introduced, we are not able to fully validate and check into the system. Earlier in 17, 18 and 19 version, I was part of the Delta initial testing team. So I do a lot of testing before the things comes up, before the things released. Now I don't have that access. So I only test once it has been released. So I've not fully tested it, but the functionalities are very promising. So what are those functionalities? Now, I hope that everyone knows or have an idea about flexible Fiori workflow, right? Flexible Fiori workflow is a lot of Fiori applications are there, where basically it has been designed rather than consultant doing complex configurations in the system as we do into the classic release strategy. Your core users might be able to go and directly set it up their workflows by using the Fiori applications. I'm using core user word because that is what it is meant to. In all of the projects, it has been handled by consultants so far, but down the line, 4 to 5 years, it would be transferred to the core user. That's how it has been developed. That's how the easiness of things has been put it, so that even not the end user, but the super user or core user should be able to handle it. They should be able to configure their workflow on their own. What are the things which is coming up now? Okay, so I would put this in the top because this is one I like. Rework requested. So earlier the problem was in the flexible Fiori workflow, when you design the workflow and when you go, how we do the approvals into the flexible Fiori workflow, let me have some interaction with you. Answers on the chat window. How do we do the approvals in the flexible Fiori workflows? Which application we use to do the approvals in the flexible Fiori workflow? If you have designed the flexible Fiori workflow, you created a purchase order, you created a purchase requisition, and it is triggered for approval, which application you would be using? Mahesh says my inbox. Rashid says my inbox. Yes, my inbox is the application which you use it. What other options do we have in the my inbox? What kind of options do we have in the my inbox? You can approve it, you can reject it, right? But the option is not there that we can send it to for the rework. We can request the rework. Now this option is coming up that you would be only not, again, I'm saying that my statements don't take it as a blanket for all flexible Fiori workflow, only for the purchase requisition. Now they have come up with the rework requested. Now you would be, if your approval, if you say that the purchase requisition is boss, ye theek nahi hai, correct it and send it again, rather than rejected, you can ask for the rework. And when you will be asking for the rework, you remember that they have given the exception handling. Okay, I think I'm talking on the air. Let me bring the system in. Okay, so that you would be able to visualize what I'm talking about. And I will try to open both. 2020 system, as of now, our lab has both. So I will try to open both. This is a remote desktop we have. Okay. So this is 2020 system. Here I will open manage workflow for purchase. Manage workflow for purchase acquisition. This is 2020. I will also open 2021. Huh? Hold on. I'm stopping my video for now. So here you have a overall release of central purchase requisition, release of purchase requisition item, and overall release of purchase requisition. These kind of workflow you have, right? And if you go here and you want to add a new workflow, you can click on the add. And then here you would be able to add a workflow. I just mentioned purchase requisition. Start date, end date. Okay. Now it has the two conditions here. So that thing has been improved earlier. If you have used in 2017 or 18 version, this looks a little bit different. So here you can define the pre-start condition, that on what basis it need to start. So I'm just mentioning purchase requisition of the company code is SGPA. And then you need to define a step. You can go ahead and define your steps. Okay. You can define a step name here, and then you can also define if the if the step is optional, and then you can define the step conditions. Okay, and you can also define the deadlines, step deadlines, and then we have exception handling. That is the steps which we have, right? Now let's go and check the 2021. I think the 2021 would also be open. Yeah, I have a 2021 also open. This is a 2021 system. So here, let me search manage purchase requisition. Yeah. Here, if I go ahead and create a purchase, create a workflow here. Now you see here, there's two things here. Okay, let's talk about the changes from here itself. You see here, there is a workflow steps and there are the review steps. Okay, this one you have not seen it before, right? The workflow steps and the review steps. Now, workflow steps would be the normal for the approval, and the review steps they have given. If you want to include someone just as a reviewer, that would not be having access to approve it. They would be just monitoring the workflow. For that purpose, if you want to include, you can use this one. Okay, so workflow steps will go as it is. This will go for the approvals if somebody wants to do the approvals. One level of approval. Again, I'm not going into the depth of the basics of flexible Fiori workflow that we have covered in general into our different topics. You would be having extra review steps. Review step would be the reviewer. So this is the change. Earlier, we were having only approvals. Now we have approvals also and reviewer also. You can define that, boss, if this is going beyond the price, not only approval, but I want to also suggest a reviewer who can just control and monitor the progress. Okay, that kind of things also you would be able to check it from here. You can also add reviewer. So separate steps which you can use, you can add a separate step for the reviewer here. And then let's say if I click on create. Now here you will see the step name and step type. Okay, earlier you see in the step type, if you have gone through the flexible Fiori workflow, you have automatic release of the central purchase requisition, overall release of the central purchase requisition. So let's go with the overall. So overall release, and then we also have an overall release of a reworkable central PR, which means if it is a rework, that approval also you can define it here. So that is the second thing. One thing is that the viewers has been added. Second thing which has been added is your rework has been added. The workflow can be sent back to the rework. Then here you can mention it as an optional step or a mandatory steps. Can anyone tell me that why this optional step has been added here? What this optional step would be doing? Whether it will go for approval or it will not go for approval. Answers on the chat window. If the option step is yes, whether it will go for approval or it will not go for approval. Answers over the chat window. Optional step will go for approval or will not go for it. Won't go for approval. Muni said, okay. Thanks for responding, Muni. How about others? It will go for approval. So Bendu said that it will go for approval. So what is the reason then why they have put it this option? See, the basic reason for putting optional, what happens if you have used the flexible Fiori workflow, you might be aware कि भैया होता क्या है, a lot of places your workflow gets stuck. Okay, because what is going to happen when you want to add a recipients to it? When you want to add a recipient to it, a lot of places your workflow can stuck. Okay. So once the step has been identified that it need to go for approval, the second thing is the recipients. You need to select the recipients. So sometimes what happens in the recipients, it would be complex selection of the recipients and you would be using bodies. Or sometimes you would be using roles to select the recipients. Recipients mean who need to approve it, whether manager, director, or who need to approve it. Sometimes when the workflows goes into the bodies and these roles, sometimes they would not be able to find it out that who is the approver for this step. the combination which you have defined, the combination which has come into this purchase order will not match, and who is the approval, system will not be able to identify it. If you are not able to identify who is approval, what is going to happen? Your workflow landed up into the error. A lot of places the workflow is landed up into the error, and from backend, by taking a help from the support team, you need to make sure that the workflow has been removed from the backend, either automatically approved from the backend, or from the manual transaction from the backend, it has been came out from the workflow. That kind of steps you need to do it. So with the optional step, what is going to happen? You can mention the optional step. Let's say if you have a lot of steps, 7 to 8 steps, in between steps, you can mention it optional step. So in optional step, what is going to happen? If you're using bodies, or if you're using roles, or there can be some another reasons also where the approval will not be identified. I will tell you that some more changes are coming here. So if that from the bodies, you are not able to find it out the recipients, rather than going into the error, system check, bhaiya, this step is optional or this step is mandatory. If it is an optional step, and if system does not find any recipient, system will simply skip this step. It will not go into the error. It will skip this step and it will go to the next steps. So with this option, it helps you to have a less chances of error. So if you are having so many steps included, try to put in between steps as a optional steps. If the recipient is fine, it will go for them. The approval will happen and it will come. But if any case, if the recipient has not been identified, system will automatically skip that step and system will go to the next step. That is what's going to happen with this optional or mandatory. Okay. So it's saying recipients are defined automatically because so I will select overall release of purchase requisition. Then apart from the optional, whether it asks it's optional or mandatory, it also asks, this is also a new thing. Exclude, this was not there into the earlier version. Exclude restricted agents. अब ये क्या करेगा? What it will do? Exclude restricted agents. It has 3 options: do not exclude, exclude, and exclude restricted agents determined by body. One of the things which I have faced a lot of people request is, a lot of people request for this exclude requester. Can anyone tell me that why exclude requester should be there in the agents? Why exclude requester should be there? Why requester should be excluded? Because requester cannot be the approval. It's a compliance issue, right? A lot of companies has the same request. If somebody is requesting and he is also approval, then he should not be approval. So a lot of places you would require to put exclude requester. Okay, if you are from the roles, from the bodies, or from the manual users, if you are trying to put it a user which is basically also a requester, then that is not allowed. Okay, so that's why you can put it here, the exclude requester. In that case also, let's say if excluder, if from the body which you are determining the recipients or the approval is the same person who has created it, in that case also, if it is not an optional step, it will go into error. If it is an optional step, then it will skip that approval and it will go to the next step. That's what's going to happen. Okay, so that is the another feature which has been added here. Just hold on, give me a few more minutes, then we'll open for question and answer. By that time, please make sure you are putting your questions on the chat window. Okay, and make sure you are on mute. Okay. So for recipients, we have you can assign the recipient by role, you can assign by the user. That's same. It was in 2020 version was also there. Here also it's the same thing. You can assign the recipient by role or you can assign the recipient by user. Okay. You can assign by the body, you can assign through the workflows. Okay, you can assign to the last approval also, that kind of things also. You can identify it if it is a role. Or you can also mention the user. You can directly mention the user names here. Now, the username, people who has gone through the excellence training, you might be know that you cannot mention the users directly here. You need to have a HR and MM integration here that we cover in very detail, all the configuration which you need to do it. Your HR and MM need to integrate here. Your users who you want to approve it need to be created as an employee. So employee mini master need to be created, that need to be integrated with your SAP user IDs. Then you would be able to put the users. Otherwise, you will not be able to put users. Again, I'm highlighting. I still need to check that the HR and MM integration they simplified in 2020, which did not work for us. Okay, they have given an application where quickly all the SAP user IDs which we have, we can quickly create an employee mini master for them. That application did not work for us. I have not checked in 2021 version. I still need to check. Once I check, I will update you that simplifying HR mini masters are still working or not, although the solution came in 2020 itself for that. So for this user also to put it, still HR and MM integration would be required. One more change here, you will find it in the conditions compared to 2020. So they have also given the total net amount of a purchase requisition is less than or equal to. Okay, so this less than was missing in 2020, which has been added here. So that also has been added. Time constraint also you can add it here. You can put the deadlines in the days. Hours. So this I don't remember. I think the days was not available in 2020. Days has been added here, but I'm not sure for that. Make step as an overdue that you can mark it. Then you can also set up the exceptions handling also. If it has been rejected, what need to be done? Okay. If it is a rework one, what need to be done? If the rework happens, what need to be done? Who should be the recipients if it is a rework? Which user it need to go for the rework, or it need to be determined automatically? If system determines automatically, it will by default it will go to the creator. Okay, or you can mention a specific role or user here. If you mention determine automatically, then by default, as soon as it comes for the rework, it will go at the start point. Here also they have given the time constraint. There can be a reminders which can be sent it up for the rework. Also, you can give them for within 2 days, 3 days, they need to rework and come back. For that also, you can add the time constraints here. So there is an option to add the time constraints here. So with this, email notification can also be triggered. So here you can also select the actions, that what actions need to be taken. Whether we need to continue it, we need to repeat the step, or we need to restart the workflow. Okay, we need to continue, we need to repeat, or we need to restart the workflow. That kind of actions also you can mention it here. So at high level, what are the changes you see it here? The biggest change is the review ones. So there can be the separate steps for the approvals, and the reviewers can have a separate steps. Reviewers will not have any access to approve it, to reject it. Reviewers would only be able to monitor the workflows, and they can be notified through the email notifications once you basically once the workflow has been triggered and their step has been come as per the conditions, then the reviewer would be notified. Reviewer cannot approve it, cannot reject it. The approvers would have one additional thing. They would also get a chance to reject the workflow. Not the reject, they can always also have a chance to send the workflow for the rework. Okay, so that is the second additional thing which has been introduced. Third additional thing is that you can also exclude some of the approvals. If as per the compliance, some approvals should need to be excluded, So you can use a body, and through the body you can write a logic. You can have your tables from where you can identify if this combination is there, this particular roles or users need to be excluded as approval. They should not be approval. So that you can exclude, or a simple exclusion which requires by most of the businesses, you can exclude the requester. Requester cannot be the approver. That exclusion also you can set it up. That is another change which we have seen. Another one change we have seen is that the step, the condition which has been added, the less than condition was missing in purchase requisition. So that condition also has been added. Okay, I would be quickly jumping into my mind map, and then I would open for the questions which you have. So rework requested, we have talked about. Optional step, we have talked about. Exclude restricted agents, we have talked about. Requester cannot be able to approve it. Reviewers who has been added. There would be specific people who would be able to monitor the workflow, review the workflow. A new condition we have talked about. Total net amount is less than is the new condition which has been added. Deadline for approval has been added. Deadline for approval for the reviewer also has been added. Sorry, for the, if it has been sent for rework, for that also the deadline has been added. They have some body for deadline. Yeah, you can also implement one of the body, that is MMPUR PURS factory calendar. So a lot of people were asking me when earlier this timeline was introduced, that whether it would be using a work days or calendar days or working days. So in general, it use the calendar days. So if you mention the 10 days, it will also include Saturday and Sunday. If you want to make sure that it only calculate the days, working days, then you can implement this bodies, and with this bodies you can manage that the factory calendar would be picked it up for the particular plant, and based on that it would be checking the deadlines for the approval. So if you say that 7 days, it would be checking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days. Saturday, Sunday it would be skipping, and again Monday, Tuesday it would be checking. It would be checking for 7 working days. With the body implementation, you can use the factory calendars, and then you can make it for the working days. Without body, for the deadline, it would be continuous. So that body has been introduced. That's another change. Okay, so these are the changes. I will take a quick break, very quick break to check. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask here for this purchase requisition approval workflow. Rashid has a question. Does it work for service procurement? No, these changes does not work for the service procurement, although the flexible Fiori workflow is there for the service procurement. Okay, the flexible Fiori workflow is there for the service procurement, but the changes which I have talked about today is only introduced for purchase requisition as of now. Rashid, I hope you got it. I have shown that the hierarchy approvals is also possible. Okay, guys, any other questions if you have on this approval changes? Now you can also unmute yourself to ask a question. Okay, by the time you're asking question, let me ask a question to you. How many people are working in S4HANA project and using the flexible Fiori workflow? Okay, how many people working on SAP S4HANA projects and using the flexible Fiori workflow? You can type me in the chat window if you're using it. Okay. Kunal says he's working, but he's not using. Ungenial, sorry, I'm not able to pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, you can call me Anji.
MG, yeah, okay. Angie is using it.
Okay. Yeah, we are using this. We are providing the details to create the purchase PR via Flory. We are dropping the Excel sheet there. The Flory.
Okay, so means that your determination is happening through the body. Recipe and determination is happening through the body.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. How's the experience? Are you using only my inbox? My inbox, multiple people are using, but whether you're also using this flexible Fiori workflow?
Yeah, we are using only for flexible Fiori to create the PR.
Okay, for the PR you are using. That's good.
Yeah. So just we are entering the details to create the sales order. I mean purchase order. So for that it was in between that when we are creating the dropship orders, right? So we need a PR for that.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, we have a template for that. So we are uploading in the Flory. There is one dropship. So just we are uploading based on that. It will internally it will create the dropship order.
Okay.
The PR requisition. Then we are going to create the stock transfer order based on the PR.
Okay.
The dropship.
Okay, got it. Okay. Leela has a question. Can a temporary approval be delegated for a period when the actual approver is on leave? Yes, that can be done. And that's not a feature of the flexible Fiori workflow. That's basically a feature of the My Inbox. You can go through the My Inbox application, and from that application, you can mention it that a particular period when you are on the leave, this is the delegate you have. But make a note of one thing. Make sure that the delegate you are putting it should also be created employee in the system. Otherwise, you can face a problem. If your delegate has been created as an employee through My Inbox, you can do the delegation also. That's available. That is very much available. Apart from that, a lot of improvement is there. If I talk about from first version 2019 1709 to today's, a lot of improvements are there. Initially, when the flexible Fiori workflow was introduced, I remember that if you are seeing a purchase order from GUI, you are clueless that whether it is in approval, who need to approve it, how many different level of approvals it need to be done, who is the next approver, approval name was missing. A lot of different problems was there. Okay, those problems has been resolved till now. From the GUI windows also, you would be able to find a purchase requisition or a purchase order that is who is currently approving it, who is holding it, who can be the next approval. One of the improvement has come in 2021 also. That's what I'm going to talk about next. Do we have any other question, guys, before we jump ahead? Okay, we don't have any questions. I have just 7 more minutes. Let me quickly cover a few more things which we have defined. Now, purchase requisition item. Okay, so within the purchase requisition item level also through the Fiori application, now you would be having a very clear visibility for the, because purchase requisition, they give a 2 levels of approvals, right? Purchase requisition can be at the overall level and the item level also. If you're using at the item level, now you would be having a full details of the approval at the item level within the purchase requisition object, which was earlier missing. That has been introduced now in 2021. Okay, I will quickly go through some, because this is the major change which was there. There are also a lot of another small bits and pieces changes which you can also go through initially the Excel sheet which I have mentioned it. Then we have output. So they have also come up with the application to trigger purchase order output. So with this application, you would also be able to quickly set it up a batch jobs to trigger output to your vendors for the purchase orders. So you can do it through the Fiori applications also. They have done some changes in the BAPI also. That's a technical change in APIs also. They have done a lot of changes. CDS view, they have done a lot of changes, but those are more the technical changes. BAPI PO create once, it was having a problem to support the custom fields while creating a purchase order. Now it supports the custom fields also. So BAPI underscore PO underscore create one supports the custom fields also. Within the analytics, they have added a lot of CDS views. Okay, for scheduling agreement, a lot of CDS views has been added. Purchase info record, purchase requisition item, CDS view has been added. When I started my journey with S4HANA, there was 200 CDS view for analytics, which has been provided. Let's check how many are them now in 2021 version. Let's go into the system and check. So this is 2021. So let me go and check it here. The application is Query Browser. So in the Query Browser view, if you check on the right hand side, now we have 1087 views. So Query Browser is used for the analytical applications. So you can run your analytics by using query browsers. In our training in A to Z for Fiori, I go into the detail of query browsers, even creating the custom queries if required. For that also the application has been given. I have went into the very much detail of that in A to Z Fiori for functional consultant training. So here, basically, a lot of your requirements, a lot of reporting requirements can be fulfilled from this query browser, where basically the CDS views has been given, which CDS view has been given by SAP, and these CDS views has a analytical notations, which means that it can be used for the analytics also. So apart from that, the number of CDS views can be more than 10,000, right? But we are talking about 1087 CDS views, which has an analytical notation, which means that which can be directly plugged in into this open for analysis, where basically analysis can be directly generated from here, or you can use the CDS view to create your own custom Fiori application. It can be directly plugged in to generate the analytical applications. So that kind of 1087 views are there. In 2016, it was only 200. So it has been 5 times in 5 to 6 years, in 5 years. Okay, so in this one also, you will see that the scheduling agreement related views, which was earlier not there, and the another views related to the purchasing has been added. And not only for the purchasing, a lot of different CDS views has been added. If you just want to have a view of it, I will just put purchase. Let me try to put purchase order, just to show you that how does it look like. Okay, so these are the different CDS views we have. We have purchase order value query, we have purchase order spend query, and off spend contract. So these are the general questions which a lot of businesses has, and it can be answered from these queries. You can just click on here, open for analysis. So this is not for the end user. This can be for the core users, super users. Okay, those people can generate the applications from here, or the people who do a lot of data mining. In 2021 system, I'm opening this first time, so it will be taking some time. Let me put currency USD year to date. So it can give you the analytics in the Excel format also. It can generate the graphs, or it can be the combination of both also through the query browser. And every version you will see the more CDS view has been added. And this can also be used, your mappers can create a custom CDS views, and those custom CDS views can also be used here to generate the reports. Okay, it says inconsistent chart configuration. So I need to check. I have not used the query browser in 2021. 2020, it's working perfectly fine. I need to check what is this error or issues. Okay, it's showing me something here in the data analysis. It shows me that the PO net amount is 754. Let me go to the navigation panel. So here you can add it here. The number of purchase order it is showing. It's showing the number of order which is completely done, and the PO net amount is that. If you want to add anything, if you want to add measures, you can check it from here. Only 3 measures are there. you want to add it or you want to remove it, that can be done from here. Or if you want to add something else, let's say if you want to also check which materials are there, you want to add as a column, so you can also add material as a column. So it would be now showing you with the materials. Let me change it to the rows. Yeah, rows. So with these materials, this is the purchase order net amount is there. So this can also be converted into the graphical display. You can also have a display which is combination of both. Okay, this is a graphical display. This is a data analysis, and this you can also save it as a Fiori application. You can also save it as a type. You can create it as a custom Fiori application from here. A lot of reporting related requirements can be fulfilled from these query browser. Only thing is that it should fix with the taste of your users. Rashid has a question. What is CDS view? So Rashid, the CDS view is basically, it's also called ABAP on HANA. It's basically a code written to push down your resources of application layer to the database layer. So basically it's just a program. It's kind of a functional module, but it is written in a language so that it can use the resources of HANA database. So whenever you create a functional module to do any calculation, whenever your ABAPer create a functional modules to merge the table and do the calculation, that utilize the sources of your application layer, and it takes time. But CDS views are very fast, because whenever they write the CDS view just pass the information to the database. All the calculations happens at the database. It's just a program. Okay, so all the calculation happens at the database, and from there the final results comes and directly given to the application layer. That's the concept. It's called the push down technology, which has been used in the CDS view. That's why it works very fast, because it uses the capabilities of HANA database. That is another thing where basically all the ABAP consultant has not been upgraded to ABAP on HANA. A lot of places where I see that the CDS views can be created to do the data calculation, to generate the reportings, but still ABAPers are writing the normal programs in S4HANA, because they are not aware, they have not been upskilled. Okay, so I prefer the projects which I involved, try to do the CDS view, use maximum reporting from the CDS views. Let me jump back. And then there's one more thing, supplier list is there. I have tried to use a supplier list. It has been a Fiori application, which has been introduced in 2021. As usual, it is not working. It is showing the application, but when we click on create, it does not allow us to create a supplier list. Now, a supplier list is nothing but a combination of supplier which can be used together into different purposes. It can be the personal list of the suppliers which you are working. So you can create a list and save it so that you can quickly go through it. Or you can also create some mini supply projects, or the procurement projects you can create it, or the sourcing projects you can create it, and you can use a supplier list there. Okay, you can use the supplier list there. So that is also the Fiori application has been given. I think that would be my thumb rule is that whatever the new Fiori applications are coming up, if it is introduced in 2021, it is better to recommend to the clients in 2023. So supplier list in 2021 and 2022, I would be exploring on my own, and I would not be recommending it clients to go for the supplier list. I will be recommending them in 2023. Why I'm saying this? Based on my experience, which I have got from so many years working on SAP S4HANA, whatever the new things which they have introduced, those all new things. So whatever the new things which has been introduced, those all new things need to be taken later on rather than taking it now. Okay, because it takes some time to mature new applications, whether it's AATP, whether it's ABC in AATP, whether it's in flexible Fiori workflows. I have seen that in the third generation, this flexible Fiori workflows were introduced in 1709, but I feel that in 1909 onwards, it can be into the adoptable condition. That's what I see. So that's the thumb rule. So this customer list has been introduced in 2021 version. I feel that 2023 it would be more stable condition to be used. So that's a quick overview of the things which has been changed. The thumb rule is that a lot of CDS views has been added. Some changes in BAPIs are there, and basically flexible Fiori workflow has very promising changes, but only introduced as of now for purchase acquisition. We need to wait for a little bit more to get it introduced for purchase order and other objects.